Good morning, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Daily Motion. This is Rich again, back for your first video blog of the day for Thursday, January 15th, 2015, around 7:02 in the morning in Belleville, Massachusetts. A cloudy day out so far. Some snow and ice and winter weather advisory for eastern Massachusetts into noontime. Some news to report: the Atlanta Hawks beat the Boston Celtics by a score of 105-99. The BC men's basketball team beat Harvard by a score of 64-57 in overtime at the Heights last night. Also, 48 years ago today was the first Super Bowl ever played. The Packers beat the Kansas City Chiefs by a score of 35-10. Game was on NBC and CBS. And 26 years ago today, Big John Studd won the 1989 WWE Royal Rumble. It was the first WWE Royal Rumble on pay-per-view. And that's about it on that. And my first subject of today is my review of the 1991 WWE Royal Rumble, which was held at the Miami Arena in Miami, Florida. And this was the third time the Royal Rumble was on pay-per-view and was the fourth annual WWE Royal Rumble. 16,000 fans attended the Royal Rumble in 1991. And the main event was Sergeant Slaughter, who was the Iraqi sympathizer, against the WWE champion at the time, the Ultimate Warrior. The dark matches were Jerry Sags of the Nasty Boys beating Sam Houston. That match was just for the crowd only, just to get them warmed up for the pay-per-view. The first match on the Royal Rumble pay-per-view was a tag team match between the Rockers, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, against the Orient Express, who was Pat Tanaka, and Kato, who was Under the Mask. And on playing Kato was Paul Diamond, who used to be tag team partners with Pat Tanaka in the AWA. They were called Bad Company, and they were AWA World Tag Team Champions, and they were managed by Mr. Fuji. This tag team match was one of the most classic tag team matches of all time for any pay-per-view tag team match. Action pace between the Rockers and the Orient Express. A lot of near falls by both teams. So the Rockers won this in about 19 minutes or so, and this was a classic match, one of the most underrated matches of all time. I'm very surprised this match does not get talked about as a classic. And the Rockers were a great tag team. They never officially held the WWE Tag Team Championships, but they should have had a title run, in my opinion. Second match was a grudge match between the Barbarian with Bobby the Brain Heenan against the Big Boss Man. This match was the continuation of the feud between the Big Boss Man and the Heenan family, because the Heenan family was insulting the Big Boss Man's mother. And this was like a back and forth match, kind of like a decent match for the Barbarian and the Boss Man, who both were brawlers. They weren't scientific wrestlers. Boss Man wins the match in about like 14 minutes. It's a typical Boss Man match, just to get over him. The next challenge for the Big Boss Man was against Mr. Perfect at WrestleMania 7 for the Intercontinental title, but that will be a blog for another day. The third match was a grudge tag team match between the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and his bodyguard Virgil against the Dusty and Dustin Rhodes, and this feud started at SummerSlam 1990, when the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, bought Sapphire, who was Dusty Rhodes' manager. And then during a Saturday night's main event, Ted DiBiase was buying the front row, but there was one fan who did not take Ted DiBiase's money. It was Dustin Rhodes. He refused to be bought, and the $1 Million Man attacked Dustin Rhodes. And then, on an edition of Superstars of Wrestling, the $1 Million Man wrestled Dustin Rhodes for 10 minutes, and Dustin did not submit or did not get pins, and this was the culmination of the feud. Also, there was tension between the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and his bodyguard Virgil, because of like doing stunts and stuff. You know, the $1 Million Man was humiliating Virgil, making him to pick up dog poop and clean his shoes and whatever, and it reached to a boiling boiling point in, I think, the last WWE Superstars before the Royal Rumble, when the Ted DiBiase slapped Virgil in the face. And this match was a typical tag team match. Virgil accidentally hits the $1 Million Man inadvertently, and Ted DiBiase beats him up and throws him over to the ringside floor, and then the match ends where the $1 Million Man loads up Dusty Rhodes for the 1, 2, 3 he held its tights. This was the last match Dusty Rhodes would ever have in the WWE, because he gave his notice to go back to WCW to become the Booker and be in semi-retirement, and he took his son Dustin Rhodes with him, and it was the end of that feud. But a new feud came because, like, Virgil got up and the $1 Million Man told him to put the $1 Million belt around his waist, and Virgil knocked out Ted DiBiase with the $1 Million belt and threw the $1 Million belt down. That was one of the biggest pops of the night. Virgil, who was a bodyguard for the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase for 3 years, knocks out him. Unbelievable. This starts a year-long feud between Ted DiBiase and Virgil, which I'll talk about later. And the fourth match was the WWE title match, world title match between Sergeant Slaughter, who was the American turncoat, and Iraqi sympathizer against the Ultimate Warrior. Before the match, Sensational Queen Sherri, who was the Macho King's manager, requested that the Warrior give the Macho King a title shot for the world title, but the Ultimate Warrior refused to. And then this was just set up before the match, like, the Warrior, Sergeant Slaughter comes down, and the Warrior comes down, and then Warrior delivers a clothesline to Slaughter and General Adnan, and then General Adnan's taken out. And then this is like a back and forth match. Sherri interferes a lot, and also the Macho King, Randy Savage, interferes as well, attacks the Warrior with some stuff, and just this, like, Slaughter has the camel clutch on the Warrior, but the Warrior gets out. Like, the Warrior's up it and stuff like that. And this is going to be kind of another routine title defense. And also Sherri interferes again, but the Warrior presses Sherri and throws her onto the Macho King, Randy Savage. And Slaughter attacks the Warrior, and then the Macho King has the Golden Scepter, hits the Warrior out, and Slaughter covers him for 1, 2, 3. And the winner and the new WWE Champion, Sergeant Slaughter, and the Warrior gets up and chases after Macho King and Sensational Queen Sherri. This was the first time the WWE title was on the line at the Royal Rumble, and there's a title change. Unbelievable. This was to set up for Savage against Hogan at WrestleMania 7, but that's going to be a blog for another day. And there was another match, which was the Mountie Jacques Rougeau with Jimmy Hart against Coco Beware, but this was a total squash by the Mountie, and this match lasted 9 minutes. I don't know why it was on the pay-per-view for. Maybe just to get the Mountie over as a character. And I don't remember this match too much, but it was a total squash. Had no business on a pay-per-view. And then the last match was the main event, the 30-man WWE Royal Rumble. The first two wrestlers who started off was Bret the Hitman Hart and Dino Bravo. Then Greg the Hammer Valentine came in and he flew out Dino Bravo. The Hammer was in the Royal Rumble for over 44 minutes. And then they had the model Rick Martel, who was in here in the Royal Rumble for over like 52 minutes. He set a longevity record. Also, there was a lot of wrestlers who were in there for 30 minutes. Tito Santana, Hercules, British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, in there over 30 minutes. But a couple of them, I think Tito Santana and Hercules, did not throw out anybody. And then they had, like, other wrestlers come down. The Macho King Randy Savage did not show up. He drew number 18, but he was chased out of the building by the Ultimate Warrior, so he didn't show up. So actually it was 29. And they had Earthquake come in, and he was throwing some wrestlers out. The Legion of Doom, Hawk, and Animal double teamed to throw out the Undertaker, who made his his Royal Rumble debut, which was a surprise. Hulk Hogan came in at number 24, and then they had Bushwhacker Luke come in, do whoa, yeah, at 27, but he was, Earthquake just flew him out, and afterwards he just walked doing whoa, yeah. He was only in there for 5 seconds. That was just for comedy and stuff. And Tugboat drew the dream number 30, but he got tossed out by Hulk Hogan. Tugboat and Hulk Hogan were good friends, but this was a start of like maybe a tease of like breaking them up and having Tugboat turn heel. He did turn heel, but he never had a feud with Hogan, which was kind of shocking. And the final wrestlers in here were like Brian Knobbs and Earthquake and Hulk Hogan. Hogan eliminates Knobbs, and then he flew out Earthquake and to win the 1991 WWE Royal Rumble. Hogan winning the Royal Rumble for the second year in a row, and this made sense, him winning the Royal Rumble, because this was to start off the feud he was going to have with Sergeant Slaughter. Hogan had the red, white, and blue American flag running up, because this is when the Operation Desert Storm started, and they were sending the stuff to the troops, and Hulk Hogan's American made, because he was born and raised in the US of A. That's kind of a start of the WCW theme for Hulk Hogan, but we won't talk about that. What I thought about this Royal Rumble, this was a awesome, solid Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumbles improving. The first few years they were kind of, like decent, but they were basically kind of like something that was the undercut were matches you could see that were subject to like WWE Superstars or Wrestling Challenge and stuff. But the Royal Rumbles, this Royal Rumble was like, I think, better than the other 3 Royal Rumbles combined. Hogan winning the Royal Rumble made sense. Also, the Ultimate Warrior losing the WWE title to Sergeant Slaughter was good to start that thing with Hogan and Slaughter, and also to have Savage and Warrior have that feud for that match at WrestleMania 7 for a retirement match, and also the opening tag team match between the Rockers and the Orient Splits were classic. It doesn't get talked about that much anymore, and also the stuff with like Virgil finally getting fed up with the $1 Million Man, turning on him and turning face. That was a real great thing. We could have lived without the Barbarian wrestling the Big Boss Man, and the Mountie versus Coco Beware had no business on this pay-per-view. It's a match that's subject to Superstars, a main event of a Superstars of Wrestling, not a major match on a pay-per-view. And that's about it on that. And tomorrow my review is the 1992 WWE Royal Rumble from Knickerbocker Arena in Albany, New York. This Royal Rumble match was for the WWE Championship, 30 wrestlers, and it's a stacked lineup who's in it, and it's one of the great performances by the 16-time world champion Nature Boy Ric Flair. Whoa! I'll be back later, Facebook friends and YouTube followers, with 2 more video blogs, one about the new digital television network called Heroes and Icons, and the third and final video blog of the night will be about the late great NFL Commissioner Pete Rozelle. And coming soon to these video blogs, Facebook friends, YouTube followers, Daily Motion followers, and Twitter followers, subjects about Julie Broughton, Local 6, and Heidi Pratt, 2 cute blondes with nice legs and great smiles. See you later, Facebook friends and YouTube followers, and Daily Motion followers, and Twitter followers. Bye now.